In a previous posting I mentioned about checking your belts. When you do proper maintenance inspection, and I say proper maintenance inspection because inspections, they're basically price driven. In other words, usually, unfortunately, the contractor with the lowest price is the contractor that gets to do the maintenance. And it's a huge, huge, huge mistake. And I know I say that and I know it sounds self-serving, but the fact of the matter is, a maintenance contract is, to all intents and purposes, a labour contract. In other words, you are paying the contractor to supply the labour to do the work that he has recommended needs to be done, in this case a maintenance inspection on your equipment. Now if one contractor is charging X number of dollars and another contractor is charging only half of that amount, there has to be a difference. Is it in the mechanic? Technician? Probably not. Most of these technicians are pretty well trained, they're pretty competent. Okay, is it in the profit? I wish it was. If it was in the profit, I wouldn't be sitting here, I'd be sitting in Hawaii somewhere. You know, I wouldn't be working as hard as I have to work. So it's not in the profit, much as we'd like to think it is. Okay, well, is it in the overhead? Well, it could be. Some people say maybe the salesmen are too highly paid, but that's not the case either, I can assure you that. Now, the real difference in the costing of a maintenance contract comes down to how much time is allowed. In other words, are you going to be there checking the equipment for 2 hours, or are you going to be there checking it for half an hour? And that's the difference. To do a proper maintenance inspection, you require a predetermined amount of time. Depends on the size of the equipment, it depends specifically on what the equipment's doing, but generally speaking, on rooftop package equipment, you need the time to be able to open up the unit and to inspect the components thoroughly. That is what a good maintenance inspection entails. If you don't inspect these components thoroughly, they will fail, and when they will fail, that will result in problems for you, the owner. What kind of problems? Your air conditioning goes down, your tenants or your staff complain of discomfort, and in some cases they just don't want to work. Air conditioning isn't just cooling, it's heating and cooling. And believe me, it's a lot more difficult to keep staff in an office that's not heated than it is in an office that's not cooled. So when your system goes down, particularly in the winter time, you're going to have problems. And that's why an inspection, a thorough inspection, is so important. When we talk about doing proper maintenance on an air conditioning system, we're talking about the thoroughness with which a technician inspects the equipment that he's looking at. I'm largely talking, although not exclusively, mainly about rooftop package equipment. In rooftop package equipment, there are devices, little electric devices called contactors. These are two typical contactors that one might find in a rooftop package air conditioning unit. A contactor is basically a device which, when it's energized, allows power to flow through a series of contacts. It's usually energized by a coil, which is a low voltage coil, which allows high voltage switching. In other words, we have power coming in one end, and when the contactor is energized, it draws, as the name implies, contacts together which allow the electricity to flow through. If the coil in the contactor is de-energized, the switch opens up. The coil in the contactor would be typically what may be energized by a thermostat in an office. So when the thermostat calls for cooling, it makes a circuit, the contactor is energized, power is allowed to pass through to the compressor. Fairly simple device. This is a smaller one which may also be used as a switching device for, say, a fan motor. They're not particularly expensive devices, but if you look closely at them, you can see in this particular contactor that the center contacts are actually burned. There's actually been splashing or arcing taking place in this contactor when it's been energized. Why is that important? Well, because eventually that splashing or arcing is going to cause this contactor to seize up. it may seize up in the closed position, in which case whatever device it is that it's powering is going to continue to run long after it's required. That's going to cause serious damage to your equipment, and you can be sure will probably result in a significant repair bill. How can you eliminate that? Proper inspection would mandate that the mechanic or technician finds this problem before it becomes an issue, notices that the contactor has been arcing, advises you about it, and replaces the contactor before it becomes an expensive issue for you. That's why you do maintenance on your air conditioning system.